Happiness feels like a puzzle, something we're constantly chasing but never quite catching. We've been taught to believe that it comes from getting more money, more success, more things. But no matter how much we accumulate, we always seem to want more. That's not just philosophy, it's science. Psychologists call it hedonic adaptation. We get used to what we have and then we crave something new. The cycle never ends. But what if happiness isn't something you chase? What if it's something you create? Not by accumulating, but by giving. Jacqueline Way discovered this firsthand. She didn't find happiness through status or wealth. She found it in a simple experiment with her young son. 1 act of giving per day for 365 days. What started as a family project turned into a movement, proving that happiness isn't an accident, it's a habit. The reason is simple. The more you give, the better you feel. Giving shifts the focus away from ourselves. It interrupts overthinking, reduces stress, and connects us to others in ways that material success never could. It's not just a feel-good idea. Science backs it up. In the next section, we'll break down exactly why giving is the fastest, most reliable way to be happy. So we know that giving makes us feel good. But why? Is it just a cultural norm, or is there something happening inside us at a deeper level? Science has the answer. Your brain and body reward you when you give. Let's break it down. Ever notice how helping someone gives you a natural boost? That's not just a nice feeling, it's hardwired into your biology. When you give, your brain releases endorphins, the same feel-good chemicals triggered by exercise. This isn't a placebo, it's a real physiological reaction that instantly improves your mood. Low serotonin levels are linked to depression. Giving naturally boosts serotonin, leading to greater emotional stability and long-term happiness. Instead of chasing joy, you're activating it from within. Giving releases oxytocin, the hormone responsible for trust and bonding. It strengthens relationships, increases empathy, and makes us feel connected to others. Chronic stress wears us down. Giving lowers cortisol, reducing anxiety, and creating a sense of calm. In other words, generosity is nature's built-in stress relief. If you want less stress, more joy, and stronger relationships, you don't need to search for it. You just need to give. All right, let's back this up with real-world evidence. A Harvard study found that people who spent money on others reported significantly higher happiness levels than those who spent it on themselves, regardless of the amount. University of British Columbia researchers found that even one small act of generosity significantly reduced stress. Those who made giving a regular habit experience long-term improvements in mental health. The more you give, the more your brain associates generosity with happiness, creating a cycle that keeps you coming back for more. Giving isn't just good for you once. It rewires your brain to seek out kindness again and again. The takeaway? Giving isn't just a nice thing to do. It's a psychological superpower. This isn't just about neuroscience. Generosity is a survival mechanism. Early human societies depended on cooperation. Sharing food, helping the sick, and protecting the vulnerable weren't just moral choices. They were the difference between life and death. Humans are wired to return kindness. Generous people build stronger relationships, attract more support, and experience greater emotional well-being, all of which lead to long-term success. Some believe selfishness leads to success. Science says otherwise. The world's most respected leaders, innovators, and entrepreneurs succeed not by taking, but by giving, through mentorship, collaboration, and shared ideas. The bottom line? Evolution favors generosity. The people who give the most, they win in the end. Want less stress? Give. Want to feel happier? Give. Want stronger relationships? Give. Want to wake up every day feeling like your life has meaning? Give. It's not magic. It's not luck. It's just science. If you want to shape the future, you start with the next generation. Children don't just listen to what we say, they absorb what we do. And if we want them to grow into happy, compassionate, and resilient adults, we need to teach them that giving isn't just a nice thing to do, it's a way of life. The good news? Kids already have a natural instinct for generosity. Our job isn't to force it, it's to nurture it before the world teaches them otherwise. The World Happiness Report found that the best predictor of an adult's happiness isn't their wealth, education, or career, it's their emotional well-being in childhood. A child who feels safe, valued, and connected grows into an adult with greater resilience and life satisfaction. Children learn by example. If they see stress, self-obsession, and materialism, they absorb that as normal. If they see kindness, generosity, and community, that becomes their reality instead. It's not about telling them to be kind, it's about showing them what a giving life looks like. Kids naturally want to help, but if we don't encourage it, the world slowly trains them out of it. Here's how to keep their generosity alive. Giving doesn't have to be complicated. Simple, everyday actions are enough to make generosity feel natural and automatic. Encouraging kids to help siblings or classmates, teaching them to express gratitude genuinely, involving them in simple acts of kindness, like holding the door open or helping a neighbor. We often praise kids for achievements, grades, sports, talents, but if we want generosity to be a priority, we need to celebrate kindness just as much. That was really kind of you to share. I love how you helped your friend. That small action made someone's day. Great job. When kids see that kindness is valued, they keep doing it. Telling kids to be generous isn't enough. They need to feel why it matters. That means hands-on experiences where they can see the impact. Donating toys and clothes together so they understand where they go. Helping at a food bank instead of just hearing about hunger. Writing thank you notes and watching people's reactions. Once they connect giving with happiness, it becomes something they want to do, not something they feel obligated to do. Here's the beautiful thing about giving. It spreads. When one child learns generosity, they influence their friends, their school, and their community. We've seen it happen. A second grader starts a kindness club, and soon the entire school is participating. A class fundraises for a sick student, inspiring parents and teachers to get involved. A child picks up trash at a park, and soon the whole neighborhood joins in. Kids aren't just small people, they're catalysts. If kindness and generosity were taught as seriously as math and reading, the world would be a different place. Schools can play a massive role by encouraging service projects as part of the curriculum, creating peer mentorship programs to teach empathy, implementing kindness challenges that reward giving. Teaching kids to give isn't just about making them nice. It's about making them leaders, problem solvers, and change makers. Generous kids grow into adults who build stronger relationships, employees who collaborate instead of compete, leaders who prioritize people over power. In short, raising kids to give doesn't just make them happier, it makes the world better. Want a world that's less divided, less selfish, and more compassionate? Teach kids to give now, and they'll create that world for us. Because in the end, the happiest people aren't the ones who take the most. They're the ones who give the most. We've talked about why giving makes you happier. We've seen the science, the impact on kids, and the ripple effect it creates. Now, let's make it real. How do you actually integrate giving into your daily life without feeling overwhelmed, stretched thin, or like you're sacrificing too much? The truth is, giving isn't about grand gestures or big sacrifices. It's about small, consistent actions that fit naturally into your routine. Here's how to do it. A lot of people think giving means donating money. And sure, that's one way. But it's far from the only way, or even the most powerful way. Some of the most valuable forms of generosity don't cost a dime. You can always make more money. But time? Once it's spent, it's gone. That's why giving your time is often the most meaningful gift you can offer. Ways to give your time. Volunteer for a local cause, even if it's just once a month. Help a friend move, run errands, or watch their kids. Offer your time to listen. Sometimes people don't need solutions, just someone to hear them out. Giving doesn't have to be an action. It can be a way of being. A small moment of kindness can shift someone's entire day. Simple ways to give kindness. Smile at a stranger. Hold the door open without rushing. Compliment someone genuinely. Be patient when someone is struggling. You already own, know, or have access to things that could change someone's life without any extra effort. Donate books, clothes, or tools you no longer use. Mentor someone. Share what you've learned. Cook extra food and share it with a neighbor or friend. Generosity isn't about what you give. It's about how you show up. The key to sustainable generosity? Make it automatic. When giving becomes part of your routine, just like brushing your teeth, you won't have to think about it. You'll just do it. The biggest mistake people make? Thinking giving has to be big. It doesn't. Pick one small action a day, something you can do in under 60 seconds. No overthinking, no planning. Just do it. Pair giving with something you already do daily so it sticks. Every morning, send one kind message before you check social media. Every time you buy something, donate or help someone in need. Every time you get frustrated, choose patience instead. Once generosity becomes a reflex, it stops feeling like an effort. Giving is more fun and way more powerful when it's shared. Make generosity a family tradition. Ask at dinner, "What's one kind thing you did today?" Start a kindness challenge at work. One small act a day, tracked on a shared board. Get your community involved. Organize a food drive, cleanup, or local initiative. Giving multiplies when more people are involved. Let's be real, most of us are glued to our screens. What if, instead of just scrolling, we use that time to spread generosity? Every post, comment, or message you share is either adding to the noise or making the world a little better. Ways to use social media for good. Highlight people doing great things instead of complaining about what's wrong. Leave encouraging comments instead of mindless likes. Spread awareness for causes that matter. Share fundraisers and charities even if you can't donate. Boost small businesses by posting about them. Promote local events, artists, and initiatives. Your voice has power. Use it to uplift others. You'd be surprised how many people struggle in silence. One message, one check-in, one "Hey, I was thinking about you" can pull someone out of a dark place. Text someone you haven't talked to in a while. Send a voice note instead of a quick emoji. Actually listen when someone shares what they're going through. The best part? You don't need extra time, money, or effort to give. You just need to be aware of the moments where you can show up for others. Start today. Start small and keep going. Because happiness isn't about what you have, it's about what you give. Let's be real. Committing to a life of generosity isn't always easy. You'll face doubt, exhaustion, and moments where you wonder, does this even matter? That's normal. But just because something is hard doesn't mean it's not worth it. The key to sustainable giving isn't pushing through burnout, it's learning how to navigate the roadblocks so you can keep going without draining yourself. Giving shouldn't leave you feeling exhausted, resentful, or depleted. If it does, you're doing it wrong. Think of it this way. If your cup is empty, what do you have left to give? Sustainable generosity means knowing when to take breaks. Step back when you feel overwhelmed. Set boundaries. You don't have to say yes to everything. Give in ways that energize you. If something drains you, it's not the right fit. Giving is about sharing from abundance, not sacrificing your own well-being. One of the biggest causes of burnout? Feeling like your efforts aren't enough. You see global problems, poverty, injustice, climate change, and think, what's the point of my small action? Here's the truth. You are not responsible for fixing everything. No one is. Instead of focusing on what you can't do, focus on what you can do. Help one person. That's enough. Make small, consistent contributions. They add up. Trust that your actions matter because they do. Change isn't made by one person doing everything. It's made by millions of people doing something. Giving doesn't always produce instant visible impact. And that can be frustrating. You help someone, but they don't say thank you. You donate, but the problem still exists. You volunteer, but nothing seems to change. Here's the thing. Impact isn't always visible. That doesn't mean it's not there. Some kindnesses won't bloom until years later. Some won't be acknowledged at all. Give not for recognition, but because it's the right thing to do. We live in a world that glorifies individualism. Look out for yourself first. Success is about what you achieve. Your happiness comes before anything else. And sure, personal success matters. But when life revolves only around you, it starts to feel empty. Giving isn't just about helping others, it's about escaping the loneliness of self-obsession. The more you give, the more you realize that happiness isn't found in personal gain alone, but in shared experiences and collective well-being. The biggest lie we've been sold? That happiness is something you chase alone. Get richer, get more successful, and you'll be happy. But real happiness? It doesn't happen in isolation. Psychologists have found that the deepest fulfillment comes from relationships, meaning, and contribution. Things that require us to look beyond ourselves. Breaking free from individualism doesn't mean neglecting yourself. It means expanding your definition of success. Instead of asking, "What's best for me?" try asking, "What's best for all of us?" When you shift your mindset from personal accumulation to shared abundance, everything changes. You realize that when others thrive, you thrive too. One of the best ways to stay inspired? See how far you've come. If you've ever worked out or learned a skill, you know this. Tracking progress keeps you engaged. The same goes for giving. Ways to track your impact. Keep a giving journal. Write down one act of generosity per day. Set a personal challenge. Can you do one act of kindness every day for a month? Reflect on past moments. Think back to times when your kindness made a difference. The more you notice the impact of your actions, the more motivated you'll be to keep going. Let's be honest. Getting recognition feels good. But if your motivation for giving is based on people noticing, you're setting yourself up for disappointment. Some of the most meaningful acts of kindness won't be acknowledged. The thank you won't come. The appreciation won't be shown. And if that discourages you, it means you're giving for external validation, not internal fulfillment. The key? Give because it aligns with who you are, not because of how people react. Giving doesn't have to look the same for everyone. Some people love volunteering, others prefer mentoring, others like quiet, behind-the-scenes kindness. The secret to long-term giving is to find what feels natural for you. Ask yourself, what kind of generosity energizes me instead of draining me? What skills or passions do I have that could help others? What small ways can I give that fit seamlessly into my daily life? Giving should never feel forced. The more it aligns with who you are, the more sustainable it becomes. Here's the truth. A giving lifestyle isn't about being a saint, sacrificing yourself, or trying to fix the world. It's about choosing to live in a way that makes life better, for you and for others. You don't need wealth. You don't need unlimited time. You don't need grand gestures. You just need the willingness to show up, give what you can, and keep going, even when no one's watching. Because in the end, the happiest people aren't the ones who take the most. They're the ones who give without keeping score. At this point, you know that giving makes you happier, reduces stress, and strengthens relationships. You also know that small acts of generosity can be life-changing for you and for others. But here's where it gets even more powerful. Giving doesn't stop with you. Generosity spreads. And when enough people practice it, it doesn't just improve individual lives, it transforms entire communities, workplaces, and societies. So, how do we take personal generosity and scale it into something bigger? Let's dive in. When you help someone, they are more likely to help someone else. Studies show that people who witness an act of generosity often feel inspired to pay it forward, creating a chain reaction. Think of it like dropping a stone in water. One small ripple expands into many. History proves that some of the biggest social movements started with just one person making one decision to give. The Ice Bucket Challenge, a small fundraiser for ALS research, became a global movement, raising over $115 million. The Pay It Forward coffee movement, a single person buying coffee for a stranger, turned into a worldwide practice of anonymous generosity. Greta Thunberg's school strike for climate, a teenager sitting outside Parliament, inspired millions to demand action. These weren't billionaires, they weren't celebrities. They were regular people who turned small acts into something bigger than themselves. So when you think your kindness doesn't matter, remember this. You don't need a platform, you just need to start. Personal giving is powerful. But if we truly want to build a world where generosity is the norm, we need to integrate it into our institutions so it becomes part of education, business, and policy. Schools, teaching kids. That generosity is just as important as grades. Imagine if kindness, empathy, and generosity were treated as seriously as math and science. Schools can make giving part of the curriculum by encouraging student-led service projects that benefit their communities, integrating kindness challenges where students complete daily acts of generosity, teaching emotional intelligence so students understand the power of compassion. A child who learns early that giving matters doesn't just grow up to be a good person. They grow up to be a better leader, coworker, and citizen. Workplaces, moving beyond profits to purpose. Imagine a workplace where kindness is valued as much as productivity. Companies that encourage giving don't just create happier employees. They build better teams and stronger businesses. Ways companies can integrate generosity. Paid volunteer days. Let employees contribute time to causes they care about. Donation matching programs. Encourage employees to give by doubling their impact. Recognition for kindness. Celebrate generosity like any other professional achievement. Workplaces that prioritize purpose over profit don't just retain employees longer, they build a culture that people actually want to be part of. Governments. Policy as a tool for widespread change. If we want generosity to be the default, we need policies that make it easy, accessible, and encouraged at a national level. Ideas that could create massive change. Tax benefits for everyday giving, not just big donations, but small daily acts of generosity. Public giving spaces, community gardens, free libraries, and food sharing initiatives. National service incentives, making volunteer work part of school credits or professional development programs. When governments support a culture of giving, it reinforces the idea that generosity isn't just a personal responsibility. It's a shared priority. So let's bring this full circle. We started with the simple idea that giving makes you happier, but it doesn't stop there. It spreads. Let's do some quick math. If one person gives once a day for a year, that's 365 acts of kindness. Now imagine if 100 people did that. That's 36,500 acts of kindness in a year. Now imagine if 1 million people committed to it. That's 365 million acts of kindness in a single year. Now imagine if the whole world did it. See where I'm going with this? The world doesn't change with one big heroic act. It changes with millions of small ones done consistently. It's easy to feel powerless in the face of big problems. But the truth is, you don't have to fix everything. You just have to do your part. Give when you can. Help where you can. Show kindness in ways that feel natural to you. And if everyone did that, the world would take care of itself. This isn't a someday thing. It's a right now thing. If you've got money, donate. If you've got time, volunteer. If you've got knowledge, teach. If you've got nothing else, be kind. It costs nothing. And if you're wondering whether your actions matter, just remember, every big change in history started with one person deciding to do something small. Today, that person is you. At this point, you know the truth. Giving isn't just good for others. It's the key to your own happiness. We've covered the science, the psychology, the ripple effect, and the ways to integrate generosity into daily life. Now let's bring it all together with one final question. What will you do with this knowledge? Because knowing something is one thing. Acting on it is what changes everything. If you remember nothing else, remember this. Giving is the fastest, most reliable path to happiness. It's not about what you get, it's about what you give. Science proves that generosity lowers stress, boosts happiness, and strengthens relationships. You don't need wealth, status, or luck to be happy. You just need to make generosity a habit. Giving shouldn't be an extra task. It should be a way of living. You don't need extra time, money, or effort to be generous. The best kind of giving is effortless, woven into how you interact with people every day. Whether it's through time, kindness, or resources, there's always something you can give. This is where it gets real. What happens next is up to you. Start today, right now. Don't wait. Don't overthink it. Just do one thing today that counts as giving. Send a supportive message to someone. Hold the door open without rushing. Offer your time, effort, or attention to someone who needs it. No act is too small, just start. Make generosity a habit. The only way to make a difference, in your own life and in the world, is to make giving a daily habit. Here's how. Set a reminder. Every morning, decide how you'll give that day. Track it. Write down small acts of generosity. Make it a personal rule. No day is complete without one act of kindness. Happiness isn't something you chase, it's something you create. Spread the message. Because giving is contagious, you alone can make a difference, but together we can transform entire communities. Tell people about this. Share what you've learned. Lead by example. Let generosity be what you're known for, because when you start giving openly, people notice. And when people notice, they start doing it too. Before you know it, your one small action has multiplied into something much bigger than you. If you've ever wished for a world that's kinder, more compassionate, more connected, here's the truth. You don't have to wait for it. You can build it. One action at a time, one choice at a time. One day at a time. And if enough of us do that, the world we dream of stops being a dream, it becomes reality. So, what are you waiting for? Go give.